Severe weather made its way through mid-Missouri. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Reek.
And I'm Jalen Henderson. Most of mid-Missouri already dealt with those thunderstorms, and now KOMU8's Tim Schmidt is here to tell us what's next.
Yeah, well, we're still watching a couple of light showers out on the Doppler radar, but otherwise the tornado threat, it's done, at least for central Missouri. There still is a threat for some tornadoes out over the parts of the St. Louis area. That's pretty far to our east, but notice all of central Missouri has been allowed to have those tornado watches expire. That's good news for us there. The Doppler radar, live Doppler first alert radar, still does have a couple of light showers and a couple of thunderstorms out over eastern Missouri, and then still a few light showers down over parts of Marys, Osage, and Gasconade County, too. Had possibly a tornado report down near Rolla, and look at this. There are still some very strong storms moving into the St. Louis area at this time, so looks like we'll have to watch a couple of those. Otherwise, it's the trailing cold front with this system that's moving on by. Temperatures out over the Midwest trying to cool off, and unfortunately back to not so spring-like temperatures here for the weekend. I'll be breaking down that weekend forecast that could have some snow back in there coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Well, severe weather season is upon us, and before the storm hits, it's important to have a safety plan in place. KOMU8 talked with tenants living in downtown Columbia high-rises and learned most were unprepared. Despite misconceptions, these newer buildings can be safe and sturdy during severe weather. The owner of the lofts told KOMU his apartments and many others were built according to IBC code and Type 2 safety standards. If there's a tornado and you live in a high-rise, avoid elevators, stay away from windows, and find shelter in the lowest part of the building. However, we heard a concern.
We weren't really given any sort of tornado type of safety precautions or anything like that. I definitely think that having those safety precautions projected to all the residents is very important.
Columbia does not have a single FEMA-approved shelter. However, a new addition at Grant Elementary School will feature a safe room built to withstand 250-mile-an-hour winds. New this evening, to cap off an incredibly busy day at the White House, the U.S. along with France, the United Kingdom, opened a missile attack against Syria.
And President Trump made the announcement just over an hour ago in a press conference at the White House. Trump says the U.S. is prepared to continue its attack until the Syrian government stops using prohibited chemical weapons.
The president was also critical of Syrian allies Iran and Russia.
To Iran and to Russia, I ask, what kind of a nation wants to be associated with the mass murder of innocent men, women, and children? The nations of the world can be judged by the friends they keep. No nation can succeed in the long run by promoting rogue states, brutal tyrants, and murderous dictators.
No specifics of the attack have been provided yet. We'll have updates on it as we receive them. At this hour, the Syrian-Russian embassy says the actions will not be without consequences. Also at the White House today, a war of words between President Trump and former FBI Director James Comey.
Comey is releasing a book next week, which is very critical of the president. Today, Trump fired back, saying it was a great honor to fire Comey. Comey says he wrote about informing the president-elect of an allegation of interaction with prostitutes in Russia in 2013. Comey says Trump got defensive, asking if he looks like the type of guy who needs prostitutes. Trump said today Comey is a liar, a leak, and, quote, an untruthful slimeball. Also today, President Trump issued a full pardon to a former top aide of Vice President Dick Cheney. Scooter Libby was convicted of lying to investigators and obstruction of justice following the 2003 identity leak of CIA operative Valerie Plame. The president said in a statement, quote, "For years I have heard that he has been treated unfairly. Hopefully this full pardon will help rectify a very sad portion of his life."
We're learning about the findings of the FBI raid into President Trump's lawyer's home and office. CNN reports Michael Cohen paid $1.6 million to a Playboy model who says she became pregnant by a leading GOP fundraiser. CNN sources say the model accuses Elliot Brody of being the father. Brody resigned from his position with the Republican Party. In a statement, Brody confirmed their relationship and apologized to his wife and family. We also have details on former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. The Department of Justice Inspector General found McCabe misled investigators about whether he was a source for 2 news articles pertaining to the FBI in 2016. The inspector says McCabe discussed the Clinton Foundation investigation with the Wall Street Journal reporter. While he was authorized to discuss it, the report says he did so to, quote, advance his personal interest, which violated the FBI's and the DOJ's media policy.
Outgoing House Speaker Paul Ryan says he has a successor in mind. He says Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy should replace him. McCarthy was a nominee for the job in 2015 but couldn't secure enough votes. Ryan's endorsement comes after he stunned Washington this week by announcing he would not seek another term in Congress this fall. Ryan says he's confident McCarthy is the right person for the job because a lot has changed since the first opportunity.
I think Kevin's the right guy to step up. One of the reasons, let me say it this way, one of the reasons why I was comfortable making this decision is because we have a very capable leadership team, and
The Trump administration says McCarthy has a good relationship, but Trump hasn't decided whether he will endorse McCarthy. Today, Governor Greitens appointed 2 people to the committee currently investigating him.
Yes, he named Democrat Wayne Hankey and Republican Bill Burke to the Missouri Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee is currently looking at a complaint against Greitens, saying his campaign used a donor list from the charity he founded. Doing so is against Missouri campaign laws. This investigation is separate from the one of Greitens and Fair.
These appointments come 2 days after the damaging House Committee report on Greitens involving invasion of privacy and blackmail. Today, the White House responded to Missouri's situation.
I don't have an official response at this time, but certainly something that is very concerning and something that we're taking very seriously, and I'll keep you updated as we have something.
As for the ethics nominees, the state Senate will decide whether to confirm them on April 25th. United Airlines is expecting $600,000 from the city of Columbia as well as its partners who brought the Denver flight to Columbia. The airline began offering this service to Denver a year ago. It's part of a revenue guarantee agreement. The guarantee makes up for lost profits if passenger counts are low.
So, we have to encourage people in mid-Missouri to utilize Columbia Regional Airport because the more that it's utilized, the more that airlines take notice of this.
A spokesman for United says since the market is new, it plans to continue and let it build.
A performance audit would cost the city of Columbia up to $750,000. KOMU 8's Erica Munsinger is live in Columbia to tell us what another option might be.
I'm live at City Hall where city council members will discuss this audit on Monday. The audit could take 2 to 3 years to complete. City Council member Michael Trapp says having the state auditor's audit office do it could be counterproductive. He thinks another option could serve the same purpose while being less expensive.
We've invested in this self-evaluation called the Missouri Quality Awards, where outside evaluators have come and given us guidance through a self-monitoring practice.
Columbia Mayor Brian Treese proposed the audit in March. KOMU 8 News reached out to him and the other council members, and we got no response. Reporting live in Columbia, Erica Munsinger, KOMU 8 News.
Several new phone scams are hitting the Jefferson City and Holt Summit area. In one, scammers say you've won money. KOMU 8's Sydney Olson is here in the studio to tell us what you need to be on the lookout for.
Scammers are calling mid-Missourians posing as tech support and saying they've won a vacation or money. News of the scam spread after someone posted about their experience on a community Facebook post. Almost 20 people commented on the post saying they received similar phone calls in which someone asked for their information. According to the post, the scammers were saying they were calling to lower someone's interest rate or to say the person had won some sort of prize. Anything to get people's credit information. Some of the calls have even had a local area code, which is why some people answered. One woman said the man on the other end of the line was pretty convincing. He asked her for her credit card number.
He continued to say, well, if you give me the number, I can check, and I think we can beat that. So I just more or less said, no, I'm happy with what I have. But he was trying to convince me that he could lower my interest rate.
Schaefer said there were a few red flags that made her decide to hang up.
So I did go ahead and answer it. And the gentleman said right away, Mrs. Schaffer, and that was kind of a cue right then. Instead of Schaefer, I realized that he didn't quite understand.
She said the man calling was polite, but a red flag was that he never stated where he was calling from. If you receive a scam phone call, you should report it to the Attorney General's website. In the studio, Sydney Olson, KOMU 8 News.
How Fulton plans to get rid of unwanted drugs.
Plus, Mid-Missouri kids compete for a spot on the national stage.
A Fulton Collection Center is accepting drugs and lots of other items for disposal. National Drug Take-Back Day is in October, but starting tomorrow, residents can get rid of any expired or unwanted pharmaceutical drugs at the Tennyson Road Fire Station. Individuals can anonymously schedule a time for drop-off anytime before the event begins at 9 a.m.
It's important to let us know that you do have those, because then we'll have a police officer here to help handle those, and they will properly dispose of those items.
The fire department will not be able to accept needles or liquids. The service is free with no questions asked.
It's now up to Holt Summit businesses to decide whether it's smoking or non-smoking. A new ordinance restricts where smokers can light up or at or around a business or a park. Smokers will have to stay at least 15 feet from the entrance of a public building or a playground. The city hopes this will make non-smokers more comfortable in public. There's already been discussion whether the ordinance was the right decision. The city rejected a stricter option.
They wanted a smoking ordinance that would make the city non-smoking. The board, I was not, and nor was the board, ready to go down that path of total government control.
Hess hopes the ordinance will be a good middle ground for those on both sides of the issue. Severe weather made its way through mid-Missouri. Tim has your forecast coming up.
All right, welcome back to KOMU 8 News at 10. A look at your weather cam over at the Columbia Regional Airport throughout the day. A few showers passed on by. We did have a few thunder showers in central Missouri, a couple of waves of those. The good news is most of central Missouri escaped all of the severe weather. We had some out over western Missouri, a lot of severe weather down over southern Missouri. There were multiple tornado reports down in parts of Wright County and even Texas County earlier this evening, and potentially even some more severe weather headed towards St. Louis. Temperatures, though, here at the 10 o'clock hour have really cooled off, down into low 60s at this hour. Still in the mid to upper 60s over parts of western Missouri. A front has yet to move through that part of the state at this time. Mostly cloudy in a lot of spots. Mostly clear skies, though, being reported over at the Columbia Regional Airport. 62 degrees, that current temperature. It is breezy outside. Winds continue out of the south and southwest. Your almanac numbers today reached a high of 77. That was one of those reasons why we continue to get some of those light thunder showers to continue to fire on up. Otherwise, here through the rest of this evening, watching just the light chance for a couple of rain showers. The satellite and radar looks like those rain showers continue to move off toward the east. A cold front finally passes tomorrow. It'll be breezy. Temperatures will be in the 40s and 50s for most of the weekend up ahead. And then we do even have a chance for a few snow showers on Sunday as well. Temperatures will be around 32 degrees to 35 Sunday morning. Good news is the ground temperature is well too warm for any of that. Into next week, looks like we have a lot of sunshine and a dry pattern too. Temperatures will start to get back into the 50s and maybe even 60s. Here's a look at our precipcast by midnight tonight. That big bulk of thunder showers will continue to move out over eastern Missouri, closer through St. Louis. They're dealing with strong to severe thunderstorms right now that'll exit all of Missouri after midnight tonight. We're just left with a partly cloudy sky into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Maybe a little rumble of thunder here or there through the morning hours. I think for that Mizzou football game, the spring game is tomorrow over at Faurot Field. Good news is we're going to have some good weather for that. Temperatures will probably be back in the 60s, at least for a couple of hours, but keep in mind it will be breezy and cold weather wants to spill back in for Sunday morning. Look at this. Precipcast wants to give you another round of snow. Again, the good news is ground temperature is way too warm for that to even stick to the ground. So a couple light snow showers could be possible on Sunday. That winter weather just doesn't want to give up yet, does it? Well, eventually it will. We have dandelions outside, so how about that? I mean, it's out there with some of these spring flowers. They're already popping up, even in the grasses, too. Here's a look at your forecast for tonight. 58 degrees, that overnight low temperature. Looks like all the thunderstorms are gone tomorrow morning. We're left with mostly sunny skies and a high of 63 in the afternoon with a mostly sunny sky. Cooler and breezy, though, for the rest of this weekend. We're going to be down into the 40s by Sunday. Again, we do have that chance for a few snow flurries in the forecast. 53 on Monday. Lots of sunshine into next week. 60s and maybe even 70 degrees by Tuesday.
From Columbia to Washington, one letter at a time.
That's coming up, but first, your lottery numbers. Good luck. In a few weeks, a student from Wardsville will represent Mid-Missouri in a national competition. KOMU 8's David Estrada tells us how a passion for learning languages became a goal for success.
What else do you think it could be here?
Lauren's Holsapple home is where she goes to class.
Sipperkey. S.
But also the place where her family helps her prepare for spelling bee competitions.
For words from Latin and Greek, I learn the stems. So, like, I learn little pieces of words. Words from other languages, I like to read books in those languages.
She started competing 3 years ago, back in 5th grade.
I enjoy learning about all the different languages and just learning about the history of words. And it's not so much, for me, it's not like so much a competition against other people. It's a competition like against the dictionary.
Lauren Holsapple has competed in regional spelling bees for 2 years now. However, this year's was different.
P, N, E, U, M, E, C, T, O, M, Y. Pneumectomy?
That is correct.
This time, she made it to the nationals.
I was like kind of glad it was over because I really, really enjoy spelling bees, but also it's nerve-wracking.
We all cried, my husband and my daughter and I, and it was very moving. She has wanted this for a long time.
Holsapple will be one of 500 competitors at the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C., her last chance to compete as a speller because of her age.
I'm like, my last spelling bee is the national one. I'm happy about that.
I really emphasize that this is her thing, that we're not pushing her to do this.
Holsapple will compete at the nation's capital at the end of May. David Estrada, KOMU 8 News, Wardsville.
Congratulations to her. She was one of 56 students from 8 different counties who competed at the regional Scripps Spelling Bee.
CPS has announced what it plans to do with the part of the $30 million bond voters approved earlier this month. The Long Range Facilities Planning Committee has decided to build an extension at Rockbridge Elementary, where the student population has outgrown the space. But the bond won't be issued until June of 2019. The school's principal says the extension is needed.
You know, providing some extra space for a building that is feeling some overcrowding. So as you add more students, for example, little things like restroom space, just having more restroom space, just having more learning space for students.
The Long Range Facilities Planning Committee says it's always looking for community input for the next project. Its next meeting is scheduled for May 10th. Baseball, baseball, and more baseball. 4 Missouri teams in action tonight. That's next in sports.
Now from the Ford Sports Desk, KOMU 8 Sports.
Good evening, everyone. Though the weather may be trying to deny it, it is in fact spring, which means we've got lots of baseball highlights to go through. Let's kick things off at Kauffman Stadium. Royals taking on the Angels. In the 4th, Paulo Orlando singles to right to bring home Jorge Soler to tie the game. Then things are going to get a little bit weird later in this inning. Cam Gallagher, he's going to drop a looper in the shallow right. Neither Upton nor Simmons can get to it. Andrelton Simmons picks it up, tries to throw out Whit Merrifield at home, ground balls it, gets by everybody. A second run comes home to score. Gallagher goes around second. He's got himself a little league triple on the single plus the air, and the Royals have the lead. The Angels, they're going to strike back, though, in the 8th. Luis Valbuena singles to center. That brings home the tying run. Ian Kinsler followed that up by driving in the go-ahead run. Right now, the Angels have the 5-4 lead. Let's flip it over to the team on the other side of the state. The Cardinals, who are looking to get back to 500, are on the road tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. Looking at the Ohio River just outside of Great American Ballpark. Top 6, Cards up 1-0, Cards up 2-0. Dexter Fowler with a solo shot to right, his second home run of the year. Cardinals take the 2-0 lead, and they're just getting started in the 6th inning. 2 on, nobody out for Marcell Ozuna, and he extends that hit streak to 12 games now, bringing home another run, and the Cards have a 3-0 lead. We're still not done in the 6th inning. 2 on, 1 out now for Yadier Molina. And it's officially a crooked number. The Cards put 4 up in the 6th. They take a 5-0 lead. They go on to win 5-3, getting back to 500 for the first time since 4-4. Now let's head on down to the collegiate level. Mizzou baseball is coming off of a midweek win over Missouri State, their first win at Missouri State since 2013. Tonight they started a 3-game set down at the top-ranked Florida Gators. Brady Singer on the mound for Florida. In trouble in the first. 2 on, Brett Bond, knuckleball, ground ball. That's good enough to bring home a run. Mizzou takes the early lead. In the bottom of the inning, Nelson Maldonado tees off on preseason second-team All-American TJ Sikkema, and we're all knotted up at 1. The pitchers would settle in, though. Later in the inning, Sikkema, gas. He gets out of the inning. Then in the 3rd, it's Singer's chance. More gas. Let's go to the 8th. Andy Tolkien in relief for the Tigers, and, well, that's not much relief. He gives up a 2-run double off the left field wall. Florida goes on to take Game 1, 3-1. TJ Sikkema goes 7 in the 3rd, gives up 2 earned, but takes the loss. On the softball diamond, the Mizzou softball team got their 3-game series started with 8th-ranked Auburn this afternoon. First pitch was moved up 2 hours to 4:30 because of storms, and they still couldn't finish the game. It was a pitcher's duel most of the game until Auburn broke through with a 3-run bomb from Tannen Snow that broke the scoreless deadlock. That game was postponed in the 5th inning due to weather, with Auburn leading 3-0. The game will resume tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the same place. And that is going to do it for sports.
Man, thank you very much. Golf is not supposed to be a dangerous sport. Coming up, one man's perilous trip down the fairway.
Now here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News today. Cleanup in Columbia. The 22nd annual citywide cleaning day is tomorrow morning.
Volunteers will be at 177 different locations. We'll have a live report tomorrow morning. Tim.
And your forecast for the rest of the night is a nice quiet one. Finally, we're done with the thunderstorms. Maybe a spot sprinkle tomorrow morning, 58 in the morning, 63 in the afternoon. I believe Mizzou has their spring football game over at Furrow Field tomorrow afternoon. A little breezy, but temperature near 63. Cold on Sunday, though. Could even have some snow flurries back into the forecast on Sunday. I wish it didn't say that, but it's a possibility.
Just another day on the golf course for Luke Donald, but whoa. Wait a minute. Take a little detour there. You know, you don't have any alligators in Missouri, you know, lakes and ponds at the golf course. But in South Carolina, a real possibility. And Mr. Gator was just, there he is, sunning himself, basking in the sun.
He found himself a good seat for that match.
Yeah, he didn't have to pay a ticket, did he?
No, he didn't.
That is our time for now. Thanks for joining us.
On air, online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the news app.